Okay. So, a very good morning to everyone, and I welcome all the people who have joined this Tamil Nadu Showcase event from around the world in this very important Responsible AI for Social Empowerment Summit 2020. Uh, while we have we are just, I think, joined by Honorable Minister for IT. So while that gets set up, I'll quickly take 1 minute and introduce what we have been trying to do in Tamil Nadu. And I think we just had a very one of the first policies, not one, I think the first policy on ethical AI launched by Honorable Minister and Honorable Information Technology Minister in Tamil Nadu. We also just brought out our blockchain and cyber security policy. I think again one of the first in the country, and certainly one of the first few in the world. So Tamil Nadu has been there has been a very determined focus from the government and the leadership of Honorable Chief Minister and Honorable IT Minister in delivering solutions for public and making everyone participate in this technology revolution. And I think the driving force has been, how do we make technology inclusive? How do we make people's lives easier? So is our additional Chief Secretary, Information Technology, Mr. Verma, has also joined. EDM Madurai, can you please confirm if Honorable Minister is already online? Can you, Madurai, can you please turn on the camera and the audio for Honorable Minister? Our Honorable Minister has been leading this entire initiative from the front, and I think he today happens to be in Madurai, and he's still found time to join us despite his very pressing schedule, and we are really grateful for that. Priyanjit, can you please check with Honorable Ministers this thing? The moment you get him online, then we'll start with the regular session. And as I was
Sir, you have gone mute, sir.
Sorry. So, Priyanjit, can you please check with Honorable Minister if he is online? And if he is, then we'll start the flow as scheduled. While you check on that, I will just quickly take the audience through some of the key initiatives in the sphere of emerging technologies, particularly AI, which Tamil Nadu has been spearheading. In one of the very visionary decisions, Honorable Chief Minister last year had announced setting up of Center of Excellence in Emerging Technologies, which is supposed to be the powerhouse of utilizing and harnessing the AI and blockchain and IoT and data analytics for betterment of government and improving public service delivery. And this is what has been, I think, again, one of the first Center of Excellences set up by any state government, to the best of my knowledge. This is a path-breaking initiative. We also, Honorable Chief Minister also announced setting up of a common blockchain backbone infrastructure for the entire state. Again, I don't think any other state government in India has taken a concrete step towards that. I know that a lot of initiatives are there, but this is the first comprehensive common infrastructure which is going to come up in the country, and it will be available and accessible to every citizen of every resident of Tamil Nadu. They can actually, and this will really transform their interaction with the government.
Mr. Mishra, both Honorable Minister and ACS are in the meeting, FICCI meeting.
Absolutely, perfect. So, thank you, sirs.
No, sorry, sir. They are in the FICCI meeting.
No, they are here.
Are they here? Okay.
They're here. I can see that. So, let me start this session. Honorable Minister for Revenue, Information Technology and Disaster Management of Tamil Nadu, Mr. R.B. Uday Kumar, Additional Chief Secretary of Information Technology, Rural Development and Special Program Implementation, Government of Tamil Nadu, Mr. Hansraj Verma, and eminent speakers on this panel, including Mr. Sridhar Vembu. He is an icon in this country, I would say. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining this virtual summit for our session today. I welcome all the guests who are participating from all over the world for this brilliantly curated Responsible AI for Social Empowerment Global Summit 2020. Under the dynamic leadership of Honorable Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu and Honorable Minister of IT Minister of Tamil Nadu government is constantly working towards improving the quality of life of our citizens through efficient delivery of government services. As I was mentioning earlier, we have taken some really path-breaking initiatives. Two of them I quickly mentioned: the setting up of Center of Excellence in Emerging Technology under TNEGA. The second one was setting up of a common blockchain infrastructure for the entire state. A third one, which is again a very path-breaking initiative, and again under the visionary leadership of Honorable Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, is called, it will really transform the public service delivery. It's called predictive service delivery. The question why people will need to knock at the government office doors for certain services has been actually turned around, and we are saying that why can't the government offer proactively in a predictive fashion all the services a citizen needs. So these three are major initiatives which we are taking under the dynamic leadership of Chief Minister and Honorable IT Minister. Let's start today's session with the keynote address from Honorable Minister for IT. I request Honorable Minister to deliver his keynote address. Sir, over to you.
Vanakkam, sir.
Vanakkam, sir.
The blessings of former Chief Minister, Purushottam Idaidevam Amma. I personally thank Honorable Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister for giving the golden opportunity to participate in the keynote address in RISE 2020. And I also thank the Chief Secretary, Additional Chief Secretary Hansraj Verma, and Santosh Mishra, IAS, the Commissioner of E-Governance. And also I thank the District Collector of Madurai, Vinay IAS, and I also thank the Visakhan IAS, the Commissioner of Madurai Corporation. The responsible artificial intelligence for social empowerment, RISE 2020. Virtual summit is a great opportunity for the best minds in artificial intelligence to meet, exchange ideas, and charter their course to use artificial intelligence for social empowerment, inclusion, and transformation in key areas like healthcare, agriculture, education, and smart mobility, amongst the other sectors. I would like to congratulate Niti Aayog, NEGD, and all other stakeholders for organizing such a vibrant virtual summit with a strong participation from global industry leaders, government representatives, and academia. The Tamil Nadu government has always been a forerunner in the adoption and delivery of IT-based solutions for good governance. The state is among the few in India to have an integrated IT infrastructure consisting of Tamil Nadu State Data Center, Tamil Nadu Statewide Area Network, Cloud Computing Infrastructure, and Disaster Recovery Center. Tamil Nadu government is investing significant resources in emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence for implementing the social, economic, and welfare schemes of the state in an efficient, cost-effective and transparent manner by setting up Center of Excellence in Emerging Technologies under the aegis of Tamil Nadu E-Governance Agency. Today, artificial intelligence applications are touching human lives in many spheres such as medical diagnostics, drug discoveries, law enforcement, military, space, education, governance, and elderly care. Artificial intelligence applications are assisting doctors to quickly understand and perform diagnosis from X-ray reports. Artificial intelligence applications are also helping farmers to better understand their crop disease and warn them beforehand so that they could save their harvest from losses. Artificial intelligence is also helping in bridging the language gap with the help of chatbots. The Tamil Nadu government is proud to announce that we have taken several of these ideas from inception to reality and implemented them to help the citizens in their day-to-day lives. Tamil Nadu E-Governance Agency developed artificial intelligence with the support of Additional Chief Secretary Ansara Verma and special support of Santosh Mishra IAS, the Commissioner of E-Governance. Face recognition system, FRS, for registering attendance of students and office staff. This system has been put in operation in few government schools in Chennai. The school education department estimates that this system saves 45 minutes per day spent on taking attendance. Tamil Nadu E-Governance Agency, in close coordination with the Tamil Nadu Agriculture Department, has also developed an intelligence pest and disease identification system to help farmers using our own Ulavan app. The Ulavan app has reach of over 5 lakh farmers. We have also launched a virtual assistant call and which can converse in Tamil Nadu the people to help the people of Tamil Nadu obtain government services like nativity certificates, income certificates, community certificates, and etc. Technical experts and policy analytics have raised concerns about use of artificial intelligence to make consequential decisions about the people and the need to ensure that artificial intelligence does not compromise justice and fairness, and there is a greater transparency when artificial intelligence systems are used for public good. Therefore, it is imperative for the government to lay down policies and framework to ensure that we implement responsible, safe, and ethical artificial intelligence. The Tamil Nadu state policy for safe and ethical artificial intelligence has been carefully crafted by Tamil Nadu E-Governance Agency. The support of Santosh Mishra IAS after considering the pros and cons of the technology to provide a roadmap for the state's adoption of artificial intelligence solutions. The artificial intelligence policy recommends the use of Deep Max scorecard, which provides a path to guide the rollout of artificial intelligence solutions. Deep Max scorecard is a transparent, point-based rating system for artificial intelligence-based solutions and the 7 key parameters of diversity, equity, ethics, privacy, and data protection, misuse protection, audit, and transparency, digital divide and data deficit. We are also working on a strategy with the help of industry bodies and academic institutions to build a sufficient pool of world-class artificial intelligence experts. Also, the government would create an artificial intelligence sandbox for startups and individuals for encouraging innovation at the grassroots level in Tamil Nadu, which would help experimentation with the new and innovative ideas without the risk of fail. The summit has been successful in bringing global participation from key opinion makers. The summit has encouraged the discussion on artificial intelligence in public infrastructure, build a responsible artificial intelligence for social empowerment, transformation, and inclusion of society. We are proud to act as a torch bearer for safe and ethical artificial intelligence solutions, which shall help boost the Indian economy and create massive employment opportunities in our state and country, while not compromising on our human values of equity, fairness, and dignity for all. Thank you once again. Thank you all. Nandri, Vanakkam.
நன்றி சார், உங்களுக்கு மன்மார்ந்த நன்றி. Thank you very much, sir, for bringing two very important aspects of artificial intelligence in your inaugural address, sir. Deep Max, which is interesting.
Thank you, Mr. Sir, and once again, I also thank Sridhar Vembu because the satellite village is a very expecting one in all village youngsters. It's a dream of youngsters. Satellite village. Once again, I thank from the government of Tamil Nadu, Sridhar Vembu.
So thank you so much. And as I said, you brought out two very important points of inviting startups and inviting startups to use our AI sandbox at Center of Excellence in Emerging Technology. And also you brought out the ethical dimensions of AI, which is extremely important when we are utilizing AI in every sphere where even human life decisions are to be taken. So with that, thank you very much, sir. You have laid the vision and mission of the state of Tamil Nadu in becoming a global AI hub. And I'm sure with this leadership support, we should achieve what we set out to. Let me now quickly introduce our panel. We have with us Shri Hansraj Verma, IAS, who is currently serving as Additional Chief Secretary of Rural Development, Special Planning Initiative and Information Technology Department in Government of Tamil Nadu. Mr. Verma is a postgraduate in management, and he has possibly one of the widest experiences in serving in the government. I think he has served across sectors. He has worked in as secretaries in environment and forest, in labor, in geology and mining, electronics and power. So he's widely acknowledged as an expert in the areas he has worked in. He has also led Tamil Nadu in its industrial investment initiative. He was managing director and chairman TIDCO. And of course, he has been holding other posts in the earlier part of his career when he was district collector, etc. So pleasure to have you here, sir. Thank you for being with us. I know you had a very pressing schedule, but still you could support us. I am grateful for that. We have Mr. Sridhar Vembu, who's founder and CEO of Zoho Corporation. I believe Zoho started from a small startup in suburbs of Chennai in 1996. Today, it is one of the most renowned software and CRM companies globally, and we are really proud to have you here, sir. And as Honorable Minister was saying, what is most fascinating, I think, being successful in terms of becoming $1 billion market capitalization is certainly not a mean feat. People do that, but what actually makes us heart glow with warmth is the fact that you have taken this technology revolution to the remote villages of Tamil Nadu. And I think that's a model nobody has ever attempted or had the faith to try. And you have successfully led this. We really look forward to hearing from you as we go along in the session. I believe Zoho is a company which serves more than 45 million users worldwide, which is amazing. I think it is, and it is one of the built in Tamil Nadu and India. Zoho is one of the greatest Make in India stories. We are truly humbled and honored to have you here. Raj Cherubal is a dear friend and a CEO of Chennai Smart City, a very multifaceted personality. He was Director of Projects for Chennai City Connect, a platform for industry and civic governance. He is known for his leadership in Smart City and how to deliver world-class quality of life and infrastructure and services. Under his leadership, I think we are seeing some amazing technological innovations happening in Chennai City, whether it is in the most congested and vibrant area of T Nagar, or it is about parking or solid waste management. He has been leading it, this initiative, including urban planning, pedestrianization, multimodal transport, etc., urban water body restoration. So he's an expert, and thank you, Raj, for agreeing to come here and moderate this session. Mr. Jitendra Singh Minhas, he is CEO of IAMAI, Internet and Mobile Association of India Foundation. Mr. Minhas has more than 2 decades of progressively responsible leadership experience with proven organizational skill in people management, mentoring, motivating, and leading cross-functional teams to meet and exceed operational goals. He's also a consultant to emerging economies on the incubation and entrepreneurship developed ecosystem. Thank you, Mr. Minhas, for being with us. We also have a very special guest, Ms. Akshaya Shivraman. She's a faculty in Zoho School of Training. And the vision Honorable Minister was mentioning of Zoho, of creating these work from villages concept, I think she is an integral part of this mission of Mr. Vembu. Thank you, madam, for being with us. We really look forward to hearing from you and learning from you as to how do you take a student who does not have a formal education, and you turn him or her into one of the best coders, one of the best technology specialists, and we'll be very interested in listening to that story from you.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Ashfaq Bhatt, who's Director of Norway-India Partnership Initiative. Dr. Bhatt is an experienced leader with a demonstrated history of working in the hospital and healthcare management industry. He's a strong program and project management professional and has graduated from Harvard School of Public Health. Dr. Bhatt's core competency is in epidemiology, program evaluation, prevention, and reproductive health. We are honored to have you, Dr. Bhatt, here.
Vanakkam, sir. Thank you so much.
Finally, we have Mr. Tathagat Rao Dastidar. He is a co-founder and CEO of SigTuple, and Abhishek Singh was just mentioning he is also the winner of the AI Startup Award in this very global and very powerful Raise India, Raise 2020 forum. My congratulations to you, Mr. Dastidar. And Mr. Dastidar holds a bachelor's degree from IIT Kharagpur. He went on to do his PhD in computer science from IIT Kharagpur itself. He co-founded SigTuple, which combines artificial intelligence, robotics, and data science to build smart screening solutions to make healthcare accurate, accessible, and affordable. Mr. Dastidar aims to build a healthier India by empowering healthcare providers, ensuring standardization, and bringing scalability of cutting-edge innovations to the healthcare delivery. With this, I should shut up and hand over to Raj. All yours, Raj.
Thank you, sir. Welcome, guests, Honorable Minister, respected ACS, sir, and friends and colleagues. Since time is short, but the topic is exciting. First of all, I must thank everybody for giving me this opportunity to be part of something that is so exciting, so cutting edge. Since some ground rules quickly, because the conversation is more important, and I'm sure everybody's eager to listen to everybody. I would say around 6 to 7 minutes each per panelist. And since the introduction has already been done, I will not repeat the introduction. And as the topic goes, raises about social awareness, social empowerment, inclusion, I would stick to governance and social issues because AI is, like an ocean. You could be talking about this for weeks, but we will stick to governance. Just to set the context, as Mr. Misra pointed out, I'm CEO of Smart City. And one day I suddenly had a revelation, and it sounds silly, but I had a revelation that Chennai is the largest city in Tamil Nadu, which is obvious. And Tamil Nadu is one of the largest states in India. I think it's the most urbanized state in the country. Very soon, India is going to be the largest country in the world with respect to population. And suddenly I felt like something dropped on my head. because it means what happens in Chennai, what happens in Tamil Nadu has profound resonance across the world. I mean, it's a very sobering thought if you think about it, right? In an era of climate change, in an era of pandemics, and I'm assuming because of climate change and other issues, this is just going to be we're going to have many more issues and crises to solve. So obviously, Chennai can learn a lot, Tamil Nadu can learn a lot from the rest of the world. There's plenty to be learning. And I'm hoping, and I'm very encouraged by what's happening recently. And Tamil Nadu has always been a pioneer in IT. And with the policy on AI and blockchain, which if 2 years ago, if somebody had told me that government will be talking about AI and blockchain, I would have completely never believed it. But it's amazing to see the progress and change happening in Tamil Nadu. So I'm hoping Tamil Nadu with these initiatives will be like a lighthouse for the rest of the world also on how to solve problems. Very importantly, I always say that rest of the world had decades, centuries to get to where they are, whether it's Scandinavian country, London, Paris. They had time to relax, think, and test out things, pilot. I don't think we have that much time and leisure, and we can't afford to be sitting back and saying, let's see what happens. We need to be able to leapfrog, and I think that's where AI and advanced cutting edge technologies are going to come in, and that's hopefully the conversation today. The last point is that I always joke in every seminar that earlier the biggest headache in India was nobody could find data. Whether you're an official, NGO, consultant, nobody could find data. Nobody could even find what is the width of the road, for example, right? Interestingly, our work here in Chennai and other smart cities also points out that we are going to be drowning in data very soon because of smartphone, IoT devices, and all drone satellites. We're going to be drowning in data. And I don't think human brains are good enough to be, it's obvious that human brains can't handle that kind of a volume of data, especially when problems are complex, problems are non-linear. I couldn't have even imagined that there's something called comorbidity, and that somehow affects the fact that somebody's getting infected by a virus and so on. Non-linear world we live in. And this is where I suspect AI is going to make a huge difference. So I'll get to the first panelist. I think ACS sir, Mr. Verma, he doesn't need any introduction. What I'm going to rely upon is his vast experience in government. So he has held very key posts, sir. You held very many key posts, and you have obviously a very, very in-depth and a very wide-ranging understanding of governance and administration. So from that perspective, and especially in keeping the recent policy announcements from Tamil Nadu government on AI and blockchain, cyber security, and so on, 2 points, 2 questions. One, what is your vision of what these cutting-edge technologies is going to do to Tamil Nadu for improving the quality of life of our people, especially poor, especially the vulnerable? Second, as the Honorable Minister also pointed out, Tamil Nadu has been very in the forefront of IT and investments and so on. What can an investor, what can a startup person, what can an expert expect from Tamil Nadu, especially if they're planning to come to Tamil Nadu and invest? Sir?
Yeah, thank you, Raj. A very warm welcome to the Honorable Minister, IT, District Member of the panel, and most important, the participants and audience who tuned into this Tamil Nadu session of RACE 2020. Friends, let me just focus on the social empowerment dimension. Rest follows from that. AI is not a means to an end. It's only a means. What is the end? End is social empowerment, socio-economic development of the nation. I'll just mention 3 things which Honorable Prime Minister mentioned in his speech from the ramparts of Red Fort on 15th August. First was Swachh Bharat Mission, providing toilets to all the households, sanitation. Second was Jal Shakti Abhiyan, water conservation of the water bodies. Third was Jal Jeevan Mission, giving functional household tap connections to all the households with quality water, a minimum quantity of water by 2024. Recently, he announced sanitary napkins production, low-cost sanitary production for the rural poor. Now, this is nation building at its very best. These are the building blocks of new India. Our Honorable Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, with his vision leadership, is a true son of the soil. He always focuses on water conservation, agriculture, and he's given us a very clear mandate that we must deploy all the emerging technologies for social good. Now, with this context, the IT department, Government of Tamil Nadu, is at the confluence of the society, the citizens, technology, and the governance. Now, how do we harness this? Tamil Nadu has got the best social capital in India in terms of the self-help groups. We have about 10 million women organized in these self-help groups. They are the real drivers of development days to come. As we say, development, if not engendered, is endangered. That is one dimension. Now, how do we have a synergy between the social capital of the state and the intellectual capital of the IT professionals or in the tech world? So all the members of the audience, and in particular, members of the Tamil Enterprise Association of US who are included in this, please do not look beyond Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu is one state that will meet all your aspirations, your technological aspirations, your business aspirations, your societal aspirations. As C.K. Prahlad had mentioned, the late management guru, the fortune is at bottom of the pyramid, and harnessing the power of technology, Tamil Nadu is well positioned to give you the best sense of satisfaction, the best returns on your investments, time and energy which you spend here. We have some of the best telecom infrastructure. With the BharatNet project on schedule, we will connect all the 17,600 revenue villages on broadband connectivity. Tamil Nadu is the best state for the launch of 5G. We are the most urbanized state with the best of skill set, with the best of the urban dispersals, with the best of the tier 2, 3 towns, where the best talent resides. Our eminent panelist, Sridhar Vembu, with whom we interact very closely on how to take technology to the rural hinterland of Tamil Nadu. How do you empower the rural citizens? He'll speak very eloquently on that. He has got passion and vision of harnessing technology for rural India. So this kind of infrastructure is there. Now from the government side, Tamil Nadu has got a very visionary political leadership, a very proactive bureaucracy, a very sound technocracy, and the best of talent. We are going to offer you a very, very conducive ecosystem for innovation startups. Already Chennai is the SaaS capital of India. We have got not just one town, unlike other states. We have the cluster of Chennai with its academia, industry, and location, urban location. We have Coimbatore, we have Trichy, we have Madurai, we have Salem, Hosur. So these are going to be hubs where you will have a very, very conducive startup and innovation hub ecosystem case. With this kind of ecosystem, Tamil Nadu, with its thought leadership, will lead the way for the rest of India. For members of the audience, let me take you back to history. What are the kind of thought leadership Tamil Nadu has given? You will have heard of the legendary Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Dr. M.G. Ramchandran. He is the father of the midday meal scheme. As the story goes this way, once he was crossing by going by road, his car stopped at a level crossing where he saw a few boys grazing the cattle. He asked a very simple question: why are you not going to school? The boy said, who will give us lunch? Who will feed us if we go to school? And with that thought process, we had the concept of the noon meal scheme, midday meal scheme concept, which is on holiday model today, where the young children, students get nutritious home cooked meals at the schools. Tamil Nadu was the pioneer of cycles for the girl students, laptop scheme. You can name n number of schemes this way. What Tamil Nadu does today, rest of India follows. I have to bring to attention that way back before COVID, Tamil Nadu government IT department had issued a government order for productive delivery of government services at the citizens' doorsteps, which is entirely based on AI and blockchain. So this is the kind of precedence the government of Tamil Nadu has got. Not only that, combined with the proactive approach of the bureaucracy and the government, the talent pool, the natural strength of Tamil Nadu, this state is best poised to fulfill the mandate of the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Honorable Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu on RAISE 2020 to harness the power of technology for social good, harness the power of technology for social empowerment. So particularly members of the audience, please, Tamil Nadu welcomes you. Come to Tamil Nadu. Let's partner in which we all together fulfill the obligations which we have for working together, giving back to the society in terms of harnessing the power, the emerging technologies for social good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I mean, that's very exciting, and I must say, I feel very proud to be part of Tamil Nadu. It's very exciting times. So I would like to bring in the two entrepreneurs, Mr. Sridhar Vembu and Dr. Dastigar. Sridhar, see, AI is, I'm sure it's no big deal for private sector, but what is most interesting for many when we read about you is what the ACS sir mentioned, the experiments in rural and small towns. And I must say that most of us, when we think of AI and cutting edge technology, I'm sure we're thinking of Chennai, we're thinking of Bangalore, we're thinking of Mumbai, or maybe London, Paris, and New York, right? You have actually, I must say, instead of outside the box, you've thought outside the urban. So what is your recommendation? What is your recommendation, and what more needs to be done in Tamil Nadu so that we are not only taking jobs and startups to small towns, but very importantly, I have kids who are young. I'm sure there are plenty of talented children and youngsters there out there who need to be, harnessed in the most positive way. What is your experience and what is your advice to the Tamil Nadu government?
So, first of all, I want to thank the Honorable Minister and the officers here for inviting me to this event. I'm very proud to be part of our state, and I'm very proud to represent our state in this meet. And I want to thank you all for this opportunity. And I will first share the experience we have in our Tenkasi operation, where in the last 10 years, starting from almost zero start, with 6 engineers that went back from Chennai. They were locals from the local district, Tenkasi, Tirunelveli area. They went back about 9 years ago to Tenkasi, basically on a mission to, can we develop products here? Can we develop advanced technology here? That was the mission, and about 10 years ago. And now we have about 500 people, employees in this area, where I have relocated myself here too. And cutting edge work, including AI work, happens here. Actually, there's a very hardcore AI team working in our Tenkasi operation. And all of the engineers are hailing from the nearby districts, from Tirunelveli or Thoothukudi and Madurai and Tenkasi. These are the districts now that predominantly our staff consists of. And we have, of course, also people from Kerala and neighboring state as well, because Tenkasi is very close to Kerala. So we have actually a really good team that we have built up in the last about 5-6 years in particular. And that experience is that now we can do really cutting edge work, and the product Zohodesk we built here has now become actually a leading product in the global stage in this market. And it's become a mainstay of our product offerings along with our CRM and others. And this product is entirely built in Tenkasi. So I'm very proud to say that. And based on this experience, last year, I decided to relocate myself to rural Tenkasi area myself, and which is where I live now. This is my home, and decided to take this further into a lot of small villages that we want to develop satellite centers and provide more training and vision. And the key learning here is we have to invest heavily in training and skilling. That's where we start. And that's where my colleague Akshaya Sivaraman, who's actually a faculty member in our Zoho Schools of Learning, will provide you some insight about the training skilling program. But I'll say that is the critical part. The first 1 or 2 years we spend And we actually take mostly plus two students and polytechnic students. And of course, we also hire engineering graduates. That's a separate incubation program we have for them. And we spend 1 or 2 years very intensively on them, on their upgrading their skills. And that's when the magic happens. And I'll narrate you one story. And I have actually this lady is working closely with me on one of the technical projects. At the age of 18, she has a talent, and she comes from a very small village here near Tenkasi. And her parents are farming background and very humble background. None of the parents have gone to even finish high school, leave alone college. And yet she demonstrates such a skill that she would very easily find employment in any advanced, Silicon Valley companies if she were to desire. So that's the level of skill that is available if we invest in it. We have to invest in it. That is the key. And we are very proud that we are able to do this. And I'm very proud to participate in this effort. And now we are expanding this, and we are spreading this in many rural areas. We have now about 10 centers operational all over the state now, including one that's coming up near Madurai, near Cholavandan, and we have one in Karur district. I just opened about 10 days ago, and two in Coimbatore district, one in my own native village, Vodugiseri, near Kumbakonam. All these centers have come operational now. We are expanding very rapidly, particularly post-pandemic. We are going to try to push most of our hiring to rural locations, and so that we don't overcrowd Chennai even more. So that is the idea.
So
with
look,
that, I will thank you.
and looks like are there other companies like yours who are also attempting to move to small towns and rural areas?
I am seeing that because I actually get a lot of visitors these days in Tenkasi, in my rural home. They want to learn how to do this. They want my advice. I'm hearing this from, for example, Tamil Nadu engineers settling down in who settled down in Pune, settled down in Mumbai or Delhi. They want to come back home. They want to come back to their hometowns. That is a movement that is happening. So, and we are aggressively hiring now. In fact, we have actually just last week we made 2 offers to engineers from Bangalore who are coming back to their villages.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice.
that is happening.
Very nice.
So we want reverse talent drain, the reverse brain drain from Bangalore and Chennai back to villages, back to small towns. That's the goal.
I'll bring in Akshay because it's you emphasize the point of training. I mean, I assume that training is the critical piece.
Yes.
If it doesn't happen, the whole thing doesn't work.
She's a faculty member. She directly works on this area. So
Akshay, see, being a faculty at School of Learning,
yeah.
First of all, what you're doing, how scalable is it, and what does the government has to do to make it scalable so that not just you, but other companies, other organizations, government organizations can do the same thing and tap into the talent that's available in rural and small towns. So, what is your experience? What is your advice?
Hello, everyone. Thanks a lot for the opportunity. I'm really happy to be here. I want to thank our Tamil Nadu government and the Honorable Minister here and the officers in the panel for enabling companies like us to excel at our work. I am a faculty member at Zoho Schools of Learning, and our mission is to be inclusive in our education and training. We want to bring underserved students into the world of cloud and AI. So this was not an experiment that we started today. It started 15 years ago when we wanted to hire people who are capable of work immediately. And what we started was we found students from government schools nearby, and the employees started training them. The first 2 years are intensive. We introduced them to programming languages, the technologies involved, how to think critically, how to solve a problem, explain them what we do. And then they become employees at Zoho, where they become our colleagues and they work with us. So after 15 years today, we have trained about 850 students. That is in fact 10% of our workforce. Sridhar mentioned that in Tenkasi Operation Zoho Desk is a main product that we're working on, and we can say almost half of that workforce is powered by Zoho Schools students. So who are these people? So they are not from colleges. They are students who are in 12th standard, who have just completed their diploma. We wouldn't say they are well exposed to technology, computers, and other things we would expect from a college graduate. They have studied in their mother tongue in schools where they do not have the computer facilities, where learning happens for the sake of it, let me put it that way. But these students are underserved. They have the verve to prove themselves. They have the vigor to excel at what they want to do. And we try to find the diamonds in the rough. We go to these colleges, go to these schools, and we conduct a basic aptitude test that only simply tests their problem solving skills. And once, with that minimal qualification, we take them in. For the first couple of years, we teach them. Most of them come here and they look at the computer and the laptop for the first time, and they operate here for the first time. And we sit alongside, and in this closed group of learning people, they learn from each other. And who are the teachers? It is the employees of Zoho itself, the engineers, the professionals who do the work, that tell the students why what they are learning is important, why what they are learning would be relevant later. So this is how Zoho Schools of Learning works. And our classroom is right in the middle of the company. You step out of the classroom, you're surrounded by the 8,000 other employees who you can interact with on a daily basis, on your lunch table, in the corridors. You hear terms from them. That instigates the earn for learning, the earn to know more and to do it all. And particularly, we also provide a stipend since day one. For every month, the students are paid a sum of 10,000 rupees to study with us. Like Mr. Hansraj has said about the noon meal scheme, this also helped them not worry about the burdens of the family, right? Sometimes our stipend is more than what their parents collectively earn. And over time, they become the breadwinners of the family. So these are some of the aspects that make them want to succeed more. What I'm saying is, we train them in complex technologies, AI, but the starting point is not how much they already know before they come to us. It is only what they want to do. It's only the curiosity and the passion to do what they want to do that is needed. And it is we are very happy to be able to do this, to be inclusive of people from all social standards. This is what I wanted to add about Zoho Schools of Learning.
Yeah, very, very impressive. And I assume it occurred to me suddenly that AI policy needs to now link up with the education policy, skill training. It's all kind of looks like it's all interlinked for it to scale, right? Very impressive, very impressive. Let me bring in Tathagato. I don't know whether to say you're in the hot area of technology or hot seat, given that we are in the middle of a pandemic. So I went through some of your writings, and it's cutting edge of cutting edge. I can't exaggerate. This is not the first time we are going through disasters in this world. At Chennai, Tamil Nadu, we have had floods, we have had other disasters. But from a healthcare point of view, AI obviously is going to play a big role. But so what would you do if you were to be here and helping the Tamil Nadu government? What would you do? What would your recommendation be to say, not only to deal with the crisis, which is obviously every part of the world is dealing with, but there's a lot of talk about preventive and, more importantly, predictive way of dealing with things. Plus, of course, like I said earlier, from what I can see, you are basically trying to figure out how do you quickly analyze photographs and data so that you can do many more times the work. Correct me if I'm wrong. Many more times the work that
yes, that's pretty much it.
What would your advice be to the Tamil Nadu government to see how do we prevent, predict, and deal with crisis in the healthcare sector?
Sure. So dealing with unknown crisis like COVID is probably the work of epidemiologists. I will not venture too much into that. But there are things that I believe that we as a country can do, and Tamil Nadu as a state, that will make the dealing with this, any future pandemic like this, easier and more, I would say, more controlled. So first of all, there's I mean, let me first thank everybody here for giving me the opportunity to be on this panel. I mean, it's really a pleasure, and I'm also, I mean, really honored to be on the same panel as Mr. Sridhar, whom many entrepreneurs like us consider as a role model. With that, let me get started on what was the question was. So, one of the key challenges that India as a nation faces today is the lack of healthcare outreach at the rural level. I mean, as we step out of the tier 1 cities, the quality of healthcare delivery or the quality of healthcare availability falls off exponentially. Let's be very frank. But that need not be the case if we actually leverage the power of IT and AI. So how is that? So what are the main problems of setting up a functional, say, a healthcare center in a rural village? The problem number one is that the medical equipment are costly. And therefore, it is not cost effective for either the government or the private sector to really invest that much of money for a village of, say, 5,000 people. And the second thing is that the doctors themselves feel, I would say, do not feel very well about spending the prime years of their life in a village attending to a very small set of people. So these are all valid concerns, and there are ways of addressing this. What the Honorable Additional Chief Secretary mentioned, that Tamil Nadu is already on the way of giving broadband connection to every village in the state, every revenue village in the state. So that gives us an opportunity. Now, let's first tackle the cost part. Cost is often a function of volume. If the volumes are low, the costs will be high. If the volumes go high, the cost will become low. MRI machines, CT machines cost money, but there are cheaper alternatives available. There is another company called Butterfly. It's not an Indian company, but they have come up with very low cost ultrasound devices connected with a AI-enabled smartphone. Can they act as at least as a preliminary screening tool before we send somebody for an MRI? The answer is yes, we can do that. So the technology will become cheaper if the market is available. So it is basically, it will be a self-reinforcing loop if we go on this. If we encourage the procurement of medical devices for edge use, it is the price of those devices is automatically going to come up. And with the help of broadband availability, telemedicine is a real possibility. I mean, I need not force my doctors, even MBBS doctors, to sit in a village. They can work from their hometowns or from big cities. But still, the poor Ramu, as you would have seen in our website, in the village, will still get access to the doctor which he or she lacks today. So this is one area, I think, where we as a country can really invest in. That will help in both innovation by bringing down the prices of the devices, and actually benefit the people at the lowest strata of the society who are living in the villages. And connecting every village through broadband is, I would say, a very positive step in that direction.
And may I ask, do you know of any piloting of these kinds going on in the country? And I'm sure Tamil Nadu, TNEG and others would be very
sure. Actually, I'm not very aware of anything in India, but I know of a few companies in Africa who are actually trying this out. They are setting up small clinics in Africa. I mean, the economy is comparable to us, or maybe even much worse than us. But they are setting up small labs with all these low-cost devices, which can actually screen patients. So it is a model available. I mean, it is a model being followed globally. And they are aggregators also who can actually take a contract from a government or maybe another large hospital and set up these auxiliary centers in remote areas. There are
the ACS sir mentioned there's a lot of self-help groups and a lot of infrastructure, social infrastructure already available in Tamil Nadu. So maybe yes, Tamil Nadu is a fertile ground to test out a lot of these interesting things.
Yes.
It just occurred to me, every time I've heard people wanting to go to small towns and villages, I think there is a very interesting quality of life, very different from urban, I suppose. And one of the issues, probably just a food for thought, is healthcare, education, etc. Is it as good as what you have in urban centers? Something we need to keep in mind. So I will bring Jitendra Minhas. Jitendra, your organization it has ambitious targets. You obviously represent companies and so on, but very ambitious targets. You want to reach out to 1 billion people. You want to create global giants. And I assume you work with many many governments and in many parts of India. What is your advice? What are the things to watch out now that the government is rolling out red carpets to startups, experts, has ambitious targets, and very amazing social goals. What are the learnings from other states that you can help us with, and what are the things to watch out?
Thanks, Raj. Thanks for firstly inviting me over for this such a wonderful session and for this opportunity. And I also want to thank the government of Tamil Nadu for the same. And it's a very relevant question that you've asked me. And I think as an industry body, as IMAI, we are involved with a lot of number of states. And because these topics of emerging technologies like AI and augmented reality, blockchain, IoT, actually, these are part of our domain. So actually, we do a lot of work in these kind of technologies. So I will give you one example where we have, recently kind of worked with one of the states. And not recently, but it's a 2-year-old program, and we called it a public innovation program, under which we actually selected 3 departments of the government. These were agriculture, healthcare, and police, basically law and order. And we brought out these senior stakeholders of these 3 departments on the one side of the table. The other side of the table, we kind of invited the industry leaders from the tech domain, and especially from the emerging tech domain. Now, all these officers of these departments, they brought out a lot of problem statements. So they actually had all citizen-centric problems, whichever they faced. They brought them out, and we realized there were almost about 75 to 80 problem statements, collectively. And then we requested these industry leaders, tech people, senior tech guys, to actually suggest a solution statement for all these problems one by one. So that was a very interesting, kind of a session that we had for 2 days. And all these, solution statements given by the very industry stalwarts, they were collected. And then we engaged the startups, and preferably from the same state, to achieve those kind of a solution statement. Now we achieved 4 things out of it. Firstly, we got the best of the industry guys, industry mentors, to carve out this possible solution for the problem, which is a very relevant problem which these departments are facing, social problems, citizen-centric problems. Secondly, we engaged own startups to build the solution. So it was like a Make in India kind of effort. Then we were solving a pain point of very large kind of a population. For example, I'll just take it like crop insurance using blockchain. Now it is affecting all the farmers, 70%, 60% of the population in India. So that's affecting a very large kind of a portion of population of the country. So we're starting from the one state. Actually, we have a plans to reach out to the other states also. Then lastly, we are creating new markets for the startups. These kind of a bottom of the pyramid kind of a market which are not existing right now. We are creating a whole new market. So actually, I'm giving out because Tamil Nadu can take a leaf out of this. I'm sure they can do even a step better than this. And since you asked me what kind of problems we faced, I think one biggest problem which which government has to look into, which actually government can be very helpful in, in this aspect, is the providing of data sets. Now these data sets are basically the main, it's like an oil, as we, it's become a very cliche that data is an oil, new oil. And these data sets are basically, they train, they test, they develop the complete backward propagation artificial neural networks that comprise the AI engines. So actually government is sitting on the huge kind of, oil reserves, I will say, in the new language. If we call data as oil, then government is actually sitting on a huge oil reserves. So it's basically the government control directly or via their executive agencies, some of the India's and perhaps the world's largest data sets and all. So now what can we do? Now the thing is that if startups do not get these data sets available, they would lose out the race to all these behemoths that we have. You without naming anybody, we have a lot of big players right now in e-commerce in India who have huge amount of data. They can actually, when I log into their portal, they can actually tell me exactly what I've bought in last 1 or 2 years and now what I could possibly look for. And what are my choices, and they could actually display only those items which I want. So because they have such a huge amount of data available with them, which our startups do not have. Therefore, I had suggested some time back, to create some data, data kind of trust. So these kind of a data trust could be very sector specific, like they could be a healthcare data trust, they could be a agriculture data trust, or they could be education-based data trust created by government. Now, all these data trusts will have a data set which are anonymized, so that the privacy of the citizen is protected, and they are pseudonymized or whatever, whichever way we want to protect the citizen. It should be done. It should be central. It should be given access to the startups on some kind of on some basis which we can decide later. It would be very helpful for the startups to actually then compete with the larger kind of organizations. So that is one thing which I wanted to bring out as an advice for the government. If we can do it, I think that will be a great step forward in this technology.
Just a quick follow-up question. One of the things I've heard a lot with respect to startup and cutting-edge technology is that how do you procure this? It's easy for the government to procure concrete, steel, etc., because we've been doing that for a long time. But a lot of the times when you have, let's say, the startup has a very small but very interesting product, let's say. Now the two problems here. One, how do you procure that? But more importantly, even in smart city projects, for example, it's not like we are procuring pieces and we are assembling it in smart city. We want an integrated solution with a giant system integrator who can put all these things together. Because I don't think somebody like me or my team, for example, we won't be able to do all that on our own. This is not something we can build at home. Have you faced that problem, and has any government solved it? And what are your suggestions? How do you solve that bottleneck?
Yes, so this was actually very nicely solved by Kerala government, and there we used to follow a Swiss challenge-based kind of a format, wherein actually once they work with the startup. So as I mentioned about this program, where the startup develops the program or the product for the government based on the inputs given by these industry stalwarts. Now, once this product is created and there is a POC available with the government, now that it comes to the economic side, the commercial side of the thing. So now the startup will quote its cost, and then government will actually reach out to the other players that this is the kind of product available to us, and now you can bid for it. If somebody can create a exactly similar kind of a product which we have right now with us, if you can create it at a lower cost, then we will go with you. Otherwise, we will procure the same one. So that is how that's kind of called a Swiss challenge kind of a method. So that's what we followed in one district. And I think it was quite wonderfully done.
Thanks a lot. That helps a lot. And I'll bring in Ashfaq Bhatt. Ashfaq, you represent Norway India Partnership Initiative. And I am a big believer in not reinventing the wheel if you can get it from somebody else. Because like I said earlier, we don't have the time to sit back and reinvent wheels, start from zero and so on and so forth. First of two things, Norway and Scandinavia, immediately quality of life comes to mind, and I assume most countries want to be like them. Most states want to be like them. Are there things which we can learn from them? But at the same time, we need to keep in mind that not everything is transferable. There are a lot of differences between each geographic locations and so on. What is your experience and what is your advice?
Thank you so much, Raj, for the introductions and the question. I think I'll start off by congratulating the government of Tamil Nadu. I would like to congratulate Honorable Minister, Mr. Udaya Kumar, and Mr. Verma, Mr. Santosh Mishra for for having the first safe AI policy, which is you have provided to the country a framework for evaluation of AI strategies. You have kind of developed a deep max scorecard for how to adopt, and I think I'll just dwell into a little bit within my time limits, try to dwell into what we are working in other states as well in terms of exploring use of AI solutions for AI-enabled health solutions. I think you've done wonderfully well in terms of, I would say that it is one of the most beautifully crafted AI policies I would see. The institutional mechanisms have already been established. You are promoting use and encouragement and promotion and use of AI. You have the sandboxes available. You're talking about data centers and center for innovation excellence as well. And your focus tremendously has been on focusing on capacity building and training. I think I need to compliment Mr. Verma, the political will. I would say that is one of the most critical aspects when you are talking about introducing these kinds of systems. I'll also kind of dwell a little bit into, before answering your question very discreetly, I would say that this Norway-India partnership, I just wanted to talk about it in terms of this is a very successful bilateral initiative between Government of India and Government of Norway, and has been in this country since 2006. And the focus is on groundbreaking innovative approaches. How do you bring innovative approaches? And now that exploring use of AI in a public health setting, we are kind of supporting the states of Odisha and Bihar in developing an AI-based cuff tool for rapid assessment tool for COVID-19 suspects. I think we've done a lot of public health, working very closely with the state health societies of Odisha and Bihar. That is the mechanism that we are adopting. And we are also thinking about how to tackle the issue of malnutrition and validating an AI-powered anthropometry tool in Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. These are our focus states. I just want to, and how are we supporting the states we wish we had Tamil Nadu as one of our focus states, but that is not the issue because you have already attained your SDG goals as well. So I think that is one thing that we are kind of focusing on, fostering innovation capacities in states using artificial intelligence. And when we talked about how to foster innovative, how to provide the necessary platform, which my colleague, other colleagues were also talking about, I think that is where we are also kind of trying to focus as well in terms of providing the necessary public health approach to providing that collaborative platforms. I think coming to your question very directly on this part, that how has Norway, and I completely agree with you, Raj, in terms of that, we have to keep in mind that Norway is a very digital literate country, and it has also articulated its national strategy for artificial intelligence that is already in place. One of the critical takeaways from Norwegian aspects would be that it has established a ministry of digitalization. So you can very well understand that they have a ministry for digitalization. Very specifically, we tend to encompass Ministry of Women and Child Development. We have Ministry of Health and Family Welfare in our country as well. We have Ministry of IT as well. But you see the focus that countries believe that we can attain only sustainable development goals when we have focus on digital health solutions. So they have a Ministry of Digitalization. So that would be a learning that possibly Government of Tamil Nadu could take away from this. And you have a Minister of Digitalization who is working concretely on how AI-enabled health solutions can be taken place. I think one of the most critical factors here is that, which everybody has been talking about, is how do you promote a high level of public trust and respect for fundamental values, such as human rights and privacy in both business and public sectors. I think that is where Norway has kind of moved very forward in terms of ensuring the necessary high level of public trust and respect for fundamental values. I think I would say that Government of Tamil Nadu is working on, in terms of, if I talk about the second point, which Government of Tamil Nadu could do, you could have high performance computing and data centers. Government of Norway has established data lakes, open-ended data lakes. They call them the data lakes at this point of time. But I see it from Honorable Minister's keynote address, as well as from Mr. Verma, talking about that we are thinking about having data centers with accessibility, even to remote areas. I think that is where that is where government of Tamil Nadu is working. And I did, they have developed friendly regulatory establishment of regulatory sandboxes as well. I think that is very clear. And one of the focus of government of Norway here is also in terms of promoting AI research centers and global collaborating for platforms, because as you are all aware, Norway is one of the countries with the highest GDP spending on global health issues, and they have been working very strongly on that part. One of the key, just before you ask me another, I think one of the most critical aspects is what we are talking about, data and all those things. I think Norway has a health registry which is established high quality digital registry data that is spanning over in terms of promotion of all antimicrobial resistance. You talk about cardiovascular diseases. There's a cardiovascular disease registry. There is a birth registry. There's an immunization registry. So the investment in getting the right data, I think that is one of the critical aspects that Norway definitely has done. And focus on patient-centric care. I think that is where the ability and the willingness of the citizens to provide reliable information. Mind you, there is a catch here, because Norway is a digital literate country, and the literacy is definitely on the higher side. But I would tend to compare it with Tamil Nadu in terms of the indicators, the SDG indicators, and all those components would be.
Just a quick follow-up. I think Jitendra also mentioned about a need for startups and so on to have access to data. World Bank has talked about open data for policy and format and so on. Are they all interlinked?
Yeah, definitely. I would say that the government of India as well is moving towards open-ended data policies and anonymization of data and all those components, which we are already doing. In, say, for example, we are getting field setting data for AI-based cuff in detection of the rapid assessment tool, which we are doing in Bihar and Rajasthan through our implementation work in these two states. Obviously, there would be that part to it.
Thank you so much. I think now that actually comes perfectly to ask questions to Mr. Misra, because first time I met him, I was actually very, very pleasantly surprised how open-minded and eager he was to absorb very, very cutting-edge technologies, which we hear only in some IT company, blockchain, AI, and so on. And I don't envy his challenge, because it is not about solving this or that, a small problem. He has to scale it to the rest of the state, whether it is farmers issue, pest issue, water leakage in villages, and so on. That's why earlier also I mentioned India's challenge, Tamil Nadu's challenges are so huge that we need technology to leapfrog and catch up with the rest of the world. We don't have time to sit back. I keep repeating this to myself and my team. We just don't have the time to sit back and relax and say somehow magic will happen. So I'm always been amazingly impressed with TNEGA team and the way they are thinking about problems. Mr. Misra, give us a few examples of what's happening in Tamil Nadu in these cutting edge areas. Also, like we have discussed earlier also, how do you plan to bring in more startups, not to Tamil Nadu? What I mean is technology into action on the ground. What are the challenges you're facing, and what is the solution? How can others help you?
Thanks, Raj. I think it's been quite a challenging and at the same time rewarding journey. And we have started off in a very systematic manner. So we have got the policies in place, which is extremely important, because otherwise you don't know what you are doing and where you are headed. So I think even to other state governments, I would strongly recommend that they can, because when the growth or when we are talking about making Tamil Nadu the global AI hub, or India the AI superpower of the world, it cannot work on, I mean, you cannot achieve that by doing it in select cities like Bangalore or Chennai or Pune. You actually need to broad base it, and it has to be, actually, it has to be like German manufacturing. I mean, German manufacturing is so well reputed and recognized because they have a very strong system of quality control, and there are small shops, small establishments which are 5 people establishment, and they are producing part for some of the most advanced automobile manufacturing which happens. So similarly, if you want to achieve something like that in AI or blockchain, I think that is why I was so mighty impressed with what Mr. Vembu is doing. You actually cannot do it in a focused in a city alone, or 4 cities or 10 cities of the country. I think it has to become much more spread. And what I have seen, and I kind of endorse what Mr. Vembu was saying, we were recruiting for so initially when we started and we wanted to set up center of excellence in TNEJ, I had to literally go and meet and beg before all these institutes and say that send some good guys who are willing to come and work for us, because we didn't have a brand name, nobody knew us, and convincing people to leave a cushy job in a private sector, at least well paying, if not cushy, and come back and work for government, that too on a contract basis, was not easy. But over the time, I think we have, with our perseverance and support from the government, we built a small brand for ourselves. And in fact, last time when we were recruiting, when we advertised for 15 positions, we got about 2,000 resumes. So in fact, it was a bit of a challenge to scan through all of them. And why I'm mentioning this is because it reflects back onto Mr. Vembu's attempt. And what we found is we were looking for some blockchain coders, and the best coders were those who could not speak fluent Tamil, fluent English. So they were well versed in their native language, in their mother tongue, but probably putting their thoughts across in a very coherent manner was, in particularly in a foreign language, was not their cup of tea. And they were the best programmers we found. And that kind of reinforces my belief, and which has been amply demonstrated by companies like Zoho, that you actually have a lot of talent lying around in rural areas, and they are some of the best. So that has been our understanding, realization, if you will. And this is what we have been trying to, now we have, in fact, another learning experience was that students coming from tier 2 colleges and tier 2 cities are much more valuable for the team as a whole, rather than individually very sharp minds. I mean, of course, they also add a lot of value, but I think this has been another learning. The experiments we have been doing in AI and blockchain, I think the Honorable Minister and our ACS IT has been, information technology has been talking about it. I also mentioned, so I won't repeat it here. What we are looking at is, in future, going forward, we want to do 2-3 things, and that's where I will be very keen on roping in startups. I think, so let me just, before that, let me just connect to what Tathagato was saying. You know, there is a huge gap in the country. I mean, in terms of your, you look at 3 key sectors: agriculture, education, and health. You have a doctor-patient ratio, which is almost half of what is recommended by WHO. Teacher-student ratio is 1/3 of what is there in developed countries. Agriculture productivity is easily half of what is happening in China and US. How do you bridge that gap? And as Tathagato was saying, one way is, of course, trying to force the doctors going into rural areas. They will go, sometimes they will not go, and all that. But the key is, you look at this pandemic. Everybody, I mean, pulse oximeter is definitely not a common device if you look at the households earlier than this pandemic. But everybody started using it. I mean, they knew how to use it. And that is a great indication that there is a good market and good acceptance of something what Tathagato is building. Before pushing anybody onto MRI table, can you do a low cost maybe household, or if not household, maybe a neighborhood ultrasound, which is easily can at least rule out certain possibilities. Same thing with education, same thing with agriculture. Are there low cost solutions? And I think one of the focus we had in TNEJ was to design solutions which are very, very low cost. And that is where, in fact, I would encourage startups like Tathagatos or Dr. Ashfaq Bhatt or Mr. Minhas to actually connect us, partner with us, and design and develop and maybe experiment. And you can actually, this can be the test bed as well. And what Zoho is doing is something which we need to really ramp up, all of us. And I think we need to, make this is the new revolution which is coming into the world. And I think India will be, India has the capacity, provided we can give the right dimensions in terms of support, policy support, in terms of government determination, political leadership, and of course, a committed administrative desire. I think if we have that, I think we can really transform this this AI landscape and actually benefit in all three segments. I mean, and anything else. I mean, you can have transport, mobility, everything. This is going to be a game changer. So the next set of things, and this is my last point, is what we are trying to do is we have tried with face recognition and PEST and AI. This thing, both of them are proven technologies. We are trying to scale it up. It's AI PEST one is already out on the 4 lakh farmers phone. There are some minor issues in terms of still the accuracy levels are, it works only on 2 crops. Accuracy levels are around 85%. We still need larger data set to train. And that's another challenge. In fact, the data set was mentioned by Jitendra and Dr. Ashfaq. So we are doing that, and we need, so because the accuracy is not so high, so we need to run it through human in the loop system. And as a result, there is a limit bottleneck in number of cases we can handle. And as a result, we are slowing down in our data collection process also. But I think we are soon going to have a discussion with Agriculture Secretary, and I think there's some initiatives which we will take to ramp it up. The second important aspect, as Mr. Verma was also trying to highlight, was this predictive service delivery. So that's something which we are started working on it. We are building into on state family database infrastructure, which we are creating, and in fact, the government has given us the go ahead to do that. On top of that, this blockchain backbone and predictive service delivery, all three come as a set. So state family database, on top of that, there's a blockchain backbone, on top of that, predictive service delivery. This is how we are envisioning our thing, our journey forward. The other aspect where I invite a lot of startups to come and work with us is use of voice interface. And this is where I think we are somewhat lacking. We have text interface, but in NLP, with help of Anna University, but I am looking at using voice interface to make life a lot easier, filling up of government forms, delivering government services, inquiries over a very robust Tamil first voice platform. And that's where I would request all the panelists, if you have any leads, kindly do connect to us on this. So this is what
I would like to actually, since I work inside government, I kind of know how things work and how to get things done. But I suspect that for most of the listeners, government is sometimes like a black box. So I want to take your help to kind of demystify, right? So for example, take the example of the pest detection software that you've done. What was the process? So was it your team? Was it an external startup team, etc.? So just help us understand that, number one. Number two, you said voice or any technology for that matter. Let's assume I am somebody who has this fancy technology that I have. I'm convinced it can be of use to you. What do I do? I mean, I listen to you. Now what? So 2 points.
No, I think very good points, and I think you are like hands-on guys. I mean, so tell me concretely how did you? Okay, so for agriculture was best was we have the Center of Excellence in Emerging Technologies, and we actually while we are working on a lot of projects, but we also keep experimenting with new ideas. Whether there is a market for that or not, we don't know. Whether the government department will accept it, we don't know, but we keep working on it. So we started looking at brain hemorrhage. We also started looking at detecting automatic license plate recognition system. So we have built it already. What we need is support of the particular customer departments. In fact, we had a chat with the police commissioner and he seemed interested in this, because if you buy it from the outside, it's going to cost you a bomb. I am having this technology which I can sort of, it's developed in-house, it's free of cost. So this pest detection was completely done in-house. We started looking at images, training our systems, and trying to do what needs to be done. We chose 2 crops, which is rice and maize. So the entire development was done in-house. When we wanted to roll it out, we did some enterprise level checks on it, whether it can handle that volume of data, whether do I have sufficient compute ability on it, where do you want to distribute the computing, whether on the edge device or on the backend. So all that discussion took place, and that's how we did. For the second part, which is very important, and I think it will be very relevant to the startups, if you have some exciting solution and if there is a synergy, the goal here is low cost. So we will help you reduce cost also if you are a little more transparent and come back to us. So, and one of the biggest challenges of startups is to find scale. And we are willing to provide that scale to you, provided it comes to us at cost or cost plus very minor this thing. And then you can actually take it out and do wherever you like, sell it elsewhere in another state or another country or another private sector with whatever profits you want. But when it comes to the solution being implemented in Tamil Nadu, we are very careful of cost. An example was that we were looking at drinking water monitoring solution for rural areas. Our ACS IT is also Rural Development Secretary. So we looked at solutions. They are available. 10,000 rupees a piece. You can put this device into over a tank. It will give you to the milliliter how much water has flown into, how much drinking water has been supplied to a village. But that's not what I want. I can compromise on percentage of accuracy. So it can be plus minus 20%. It's not going to make a huge difference. But 10,000 rupees needs to come down to 200 rupees. It has to be robust, low maintenance. And we can even fund some development of such devices. So that's another thing we can do. So if you are a startup, you're listening to this, you want to do some experimentation of your technology, you want to partner with us, it has to be low cost. We will fund you. We will provide you entry into the government system to the scale, which of course is only governments can provide. And once you have proven your system, we will continue to use it at cost basis or cost plus basis. You are free to take this technology elsewhere and sell it at profit wherever you like. So this is what our proposition is. I hope it has answered your question.
Thank you, sir. And I request that we have maybe a follow-up, such a get-together, because I can see a lot of threads, amazing potential threads, which could be, each thread can become more threads, I'm sure, but it'll be nice if TNEGA and Tamil Nadu government can organize a few more series of conversation where maybe I'm hoping that we ends up in pilots like what Jitendra and others were mentioning. Tadagato was mentioning, things which clear deliverables and so on, so that other tried and tested methods could be absorbed here and tested out, tried out, and so on. So that's my request. I would like to, before I conclude the session, I would like to request our ACS sir, Mr. Verma. We heard it's very obvious, at least for me as a novice to this whole area, that AI policy is there, but then it is connected to education, it is connected to skill development, what happens in rural area, health department trying to scale certain things, education department trying to scale things. Plus, obviously, this is a cutting edge area where even if startups come here, it's not like we were talking, it's not very, thanks to Mr. Mishra to clarifying, but I'm sure there's a lot of steps towards being able to absorb a lot of these technologies in a much more smooth manner. Sir, I would request you to help us sum up and some of the exciting things we can look forward to in the future.
If a key takeaway of today's panel discussion is that AI has to be for inclusion. Technology per se intimates the common man. So that is where we all have to come together and ensure that we harness this power for including everybody and ensure that nobody is left behind. One key thing you have to work for is that we have to create sustainable jobs. India is a young nation. They hold all of us in trusteeship for providing them avenues which meet and fulfill their aspirations and ambitions. A young nation, if the youth is aspirations and ambitions not taken care of, they're looking at very serious issues. Now, the sustainable jobs will have to be created only at the rural areas. Two areas we must look forward is, which I'm sure Mrs. Sridhar members will endorse, is rural tourism. The next big wave of job creation will take place there. The traveler of today is not looking at high-flown or high-tech or city-based tourism. He's looking at immersive tourism. You want a story to tell. It is here the social capital in terms of self-help group women with their homestays can be a big game changer. Every village has got unique history, culture, cuisines. This can create n number of jobs, and startups can definitely work in this. On the Dubai model, aggregating the homestays and providing a platform. The second one area we have to harness is biodiversity. India is a very, very rich nation in biodiversity, and Tamil Nadu in particular, with the three biodiversity spheres, Nilgiris, Kalakkad Munandarai, and Gulf of Mannar. You have the Eastern Ghats, Western Ghats. Biodiversity wealth is in trillions of dollars. But under the Act, Biodiversity Act, are we able to harness the potential of this biodiversity back to the community? No, it's not taking place today. It needs tremendous power of AI for documenting the wealth and how this resource moves across from the community to the medical organization, to the companies, to the consumers. So if we can harness these two areas, rural tourism, biodiversity, then you have done a great job for the youth and ensure that we fulfill their aspirations and ambitions. The other part is government of Tamil Nadu is ready to partner with all the stakeholders. You will find the best of ecosystems here, where you try out your concepts for startups, learn, get the POC, deliver services here, and take those models to rest of India, rest of the world. Yes. One panelist was mentioning, government of Tamil Nadu will provide you the credible data sets, which have got authentic, clean data. Based on the data sets, we can make our models, assumptions, and business models. Yes. So this AI, this conference has come at a very, very right time. Post-COVID, in the COVID context, AI has to be for social empowerment. AI has to ensure that we include everybody. There is no exclusion of anyone. Everybody on board. We take everybody along with it. Yes. Here, the contribution of the panelists were very, very valuable, insightful. I'm sure all the members of the audience and all the participants will take away very valuable insights and learnings from this teen session and plan for a partnership with the state government. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That's, like I said in the beginning, I think we are living in exciting times, and I'm actually proud of what's happening and excited about what's happening. I hope this will be just the beginning of a long journey. So I hope all of us can contribute to the betterment of Tamil Nadu and hopefully the rest of the world. So thank you so much. And I'm very surprised that we are exactly on time. Everybody's stuck to their allotted time. It shows it's pretty impressive. Thank you so much to all the panelists. Thank you, sir, ACS sir. Thank you, Mr. Misra. And we conclude. Thank you so much.
Raj.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. So that was a brilliant panel discussion, and thank you everyone for joining. I think the final leg of this session is about showcasing Tamil Nadu, and I think there are two segments of that. we have a video of about 14 minutes to be played. It talks about the initiatives which Tamil Nadu is taking in the areas of AI. And also it has selected showcasing of a couple of startups which are doing some fascinating work in Tamil Nadu. So I would request the organizers to kindly play the video. Over to you for the video.
The mission of the Tamil Nadu e-governance agency is to improve the quality of life of our citizens through efficient delivery of government services using the tools of information technology and to create cost-effective, scalable solutions for governance, making full use of emerging technologies like blockchain, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and data analytics. We are proud to announce that we have taken several of these ideas from inception to reality and implemented them to help the citizens in their day-to-day lives. We have developed artificial intelligence-based facial recognition system where it is used for registering attendance. We have also developed an intelligent pest and disease identification system to help farmers through our own Ulavan app. And in order to help the people of Tamil Nadu obtain government services, we have also launched a virtual assistant called Anil, which is leveraging the power of natural language processing and which can converse in Tamil with the people. Let's have a look at the different AI initiatives being taken in Tamil Nadu.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
The Tamil Nadu e-governance agency has developed an artificial intelligence-based face recognition system that uses face recognition for registering attendance. This attendance system is another milestone in the list of successful e-governance projects implemented by TNEGA. It helps in precisely tracking the students as they enter the premises and record the information in a database, thus saving time. The highlight of this system is its superior performance in identifying faces even in low light conditions. This facility was initially implemented in 2 government schools in Chennai. It had a positive impact in improving the attendance of the students in these schools. The teachers were happy to share that the facility has been well received by the students as well as the staff. TNEGA is proactively working towards implementing this facility in other schools and various government offices. The School Education Department has estimated that the attendance system saves 45 minutes per day spent on taking daily attendance. Impressed by the results, the school education is extending this service to over 3,000 government schools across Tamil Nadu. Among the various states in India, Tamil Nadu has been in the forefront of implementing this facility using emerging technologies. This breakthrough facility was inaugurated by the Honorable Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu in November 2019. The Tamil Nadu e-governance agency is committed to develop solutions for the issues faced by the farming community by deploying emerging technologies. TNEGA has developed a pest identification system to help the farmers in identifying the pests affecting their crops and the preventive measures to be taken. This system was developed in-house and integrated into the Ulavan app already used by the farming community. A farmer with a low-cost mobile phone with an inbuilt camera can now upload pictures of the affected crop. Once the image is uploaded, an intelligent system analyzes and identifies the type of the pest and responds by sending a text message in Tamil explaining what needs to be done to prevent further crop damage. This gives timely guidance to the farmers and helps save their crops. The Tamil Nadu e-Governance Agency has taken a leap in digitalizing all the government services accessible to the common man through Arasu e-Sevai centers. People visit these e-Sevai centers in large numbers to get various certificates like income, community and nativity certificates. At times, people visit these centers for inquiring about the services. They spend hours standing in queues to get the clarifications. To resolve this issue, the Tamil Nadu e-Governance Agency has collaborated with Anna University and has developed an automated virtual assistant called Anil. The key highlight of this project is that this uses vernacular natural language processing. This chatbot facility can be availed at the homepage of the TNEGA website. This service was launched by the Honorable Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu in November 2019.
Today, we also want to highlight the journey of several AI startups from the state of Tamil Nadu. Let's first look at Detect Technologies. Started in Chennai in 2016, within a very short span of time, Detect Technologies has become one of the leading companies in the field of non-destructive testing and visual analytics by providing intelligent and efficient solutions. Let's look at their journey.
Hello everyone, my name is Daniel and I am the CEO and co-founder of Detect Technologies. What we do at Detect is we're in the space of building patented hardware and software solutions to do intelligent asset monitoring in the industries. These industries can be any industries in your process industry space. We work with the power sector, fertilizer, steel, all the way to our most predominant sector, being oil and gas.
Executing a mega project is a holistic test of capabilities for any operator. The complexity of the execution demands efficient monitoring, which usually means multiple safety and inspection teams working round the clock with precision. Given the large scale of projects, it becomes a challenge for project managers to monitor all the activities. Detect Technologies provides novel products backed by intelligent algorithms for asset and work monitoring in manufacturing industries with complex processes. Through multiple successful implementations, Detect has earned the support of more than 65 satisfied customers today across various geographies. T-Pulse, a one-of-a-kind platform that cuts through all the layers of large projects, is aimed at increasing the on-ground visibility and reach of the site management. It enhances the efficiency of work, increases productivity of manpower, and most importantly, improves safety of workers.
Next, we come to Guvi. Guvi, again an IIT Madras incubated company, is an integrated edutech platform for technology skills in the field of IT, providing a personalized and interactive learning experience through vernacular languages using their AI-powered platform. Let's look at their journey.
Hi, I am Sridevi. I am the co-founder and CEO of Guvi. Guvi is an online skill acceleration platform incubated by IIT Madras. We make engineering graduates employable in 60 days. How we are doing it? We are offering technology courses like Python, machine learning and Java, which are in demand in industry in vernacular languages like Tamil, Telugu, Kannada and Hindi.
जितना भी हम हिंदी में इंग्लिश में पढ़ लें, जो हम हिंदी में पढ़ते हैं वो अंडरस्टैंडिंग, वो नॉलेज we can't get from English.
தமிழ்லையும் ட்ரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்ணி both languages இருந்துச்சு. அதில் எனக்கு தமிழ் படித்ததுனால என்னால் ஈஸியாக அந்த என்னென்ன டெக்னிக்ஸ் இருக்குது அதெல்லாம் ஈஸியாக அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ணிக்க முடிச்சு.
Basically, I was in search of MongoDB and JavaScript in a very good platform which can actually able to make me understand, and Groovy actually made me satisfied.
Last but not the least, it's Uniphore. Uniphore is born out of Tamil Nadu and is now the global leader in conversational service automation, which combines the power of artificial intelligence, automation technology, and machine learning. Let's quickly look at their journey.
Uniphore is a leader in conversational service automation, headquartered in Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Uniphore was started out of the incubation labs of IIT Madras in 2008 and has gone on to become as one of the leaders in SaaS-based B2B technology company that is made in Tamil Nadu but built for the world. We are a company which started with a clear vision to a significant existing problem, which was 70% of the Indians were still not connected to the digital revolution. Not just for the lack of connectivity, but everything that was online was in English language. Most of the people did not know how to access basic online services such as banking, agri-based services, or even doing small basic online searches on their devices. So we decided to use the power of speech and artificial intelligence and then combine them together to revolutionize human-machine interaction and allow software applications to understand human speech in the language of their choice.
The future of customer service has arrived with Uniphore's conversational service automation platform.
Welcome to AE Auto Insurance. If this is Rob, please speak your authentication phrase.
This is Rob. Go ahead. Make my day.
Hi Rob, this is Akira and it is nice to talk with you again. I see you have an open claim number 8675319 regarding a minor traffic accident. Would you like an update?
Yeah, that is one of the reasons I'm contacting you.
Happy to help. Okay, it looks like the claim is still pending because we have not received your approval of the settlement terms. Would you like to review those now?
I was expecting my settlement check this week. Let me talk to an agent.
I'm sorry you're not happy and I understand your frustration. Let me connect you right now.
Good afternoon, Rob. My name is John, and I see you're calling about your pending claim number 8675319. We can take care of this right away.
With Uniphore, you can have one intelligent conversational service automation platform, saving money for enterprises while delivering a better customer experience. Uniphore, powered by the human voice.
This was a great showcase from multiple AI startups in Tamil Nadu. Our aim is to make Tamil Nadu the global center for artificial intelligence and data-driven innovation by investing in research and development, encouraging startups to innovate, skill development, and regulatory innovation. We are also leading the world and India in safe and ethical use of data through the Tamil Nadu's Safe and Ethical Artificial Intelligence Policy. We want to thank the RAISE team, MeitY, Niti Aayog, and NEJD, and all associated stakeholders for giving us this platform to showcase our work. Thank you.
Okay, so we are at the end of the session, and thank you very much. It's a great honor and privilege to have had a very august panel. For the panel discussion, I like to thank Honorable Minister, our Additional Chief Secretary IT, and all the distinguished panel members, Mr. Vembu, Mr. Raj, Mr. Minhas, Mr. Bhatt, Akshaya, and Mr. Dastidar. For taking time out and being with us. This RAISE virtual summit, I think I'll fail in my duty if I don't say something about RAISE. I think this has been one of the phenomenal platforms, brilliantly curated by NEJD and its very able leader, Mr. Abhishek Singh. And it has really brought together some of the best minds from around the world to exchange ideas and charter a course for AI adoption in this country. We are really grateful to MITI and NITI Aayog and NEGD for giving us this platform. We look forward to participating in future events, and we look forward to serving our people in Tamil Nadu better. And thank you once again, everyone, for being with us. We are at the end of the session.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mishra. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Good.